The Honest Audiophile. This is the Moondrop Stellaris, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Linsoul for providing the Stellaris for review. Do greatly appreciate it, Linsoul. You rock. Okay, so the Moondrop Stellaris, it comes in a pretty standard unboxing experience for Moondrop. You get some artwork on the front, and then on the back, you'll get some diagrams and information regarding the product. Not even going to bother to open it as it is very boring on the inside. You do get a few accessories. You're going to get a Moondrop labeled cable strap, 2 bags of tips. You're going to get some soft ears silicone tips and some foam tips, small, medium, and large of both. And then you get a carrying case that fits the Stellaris just fine. And then you get the Stellaris themselves. You get this decent cables. I'm not going to say it's a spectacularly good cable. It reminds me of the SSR cable, and it's okay. Got this rubbery feel to it. Nothing too special. Terminates to a 3.5. Connects with 2-pin connections. They are read for write. Noted. The Stellaris. So inside the Stellaris is a 14.5 millimeter planar IEM. It is 36 ohms of impedance, 117 decibels of sensitivity. Frequency response of 10 hertz to 50 kilohertz, and each one of these shells weighs 17 grams. They are rather large, and as you can see, they have a little bit of a port here on the front. You got some artwork, and they are rather thick. You got a little bit of branding here on the shells. And overall, they're just very, very chunky. If you're familiar with the Moondrop Sparks and the Moondrop Chew, they're kind of a mix between those two. So you have the chunkiness and the length of the nozzle of the Sparks, and then the very strange shell design of the Chew. Being 17 grams, they are extremely heavy, and that causes a lot of discomfort for me. So you put them in your ears, and as you can see, they just stick out quite far. And this is a problem because they pull down on the ear hole, and it just causes pain right here. I can get about 20 minutes worth of listening with the stock tips. Speaking of the stock tips are a very unique experience. So the soft ears tips are very soft, and they have like this kind of flimsy build to them. And so when I put them in my ears, no matter which size I use, small, medium, or large, they just kind of like did nothing to support the Stellaris in my ears, and it caused discomfort. And as I said, it was about 20 minutes worth of listening. Foam tips definitely held the Stellaris in place, did a good job of isolating outside noises, but they expanded and opened up my ear hole even more, and it caused discomfort in that way because it was, expanding it. Yes, it held them in place, but again, the discomfort, it was about 15 to 20 minutes, and they were like, please take these out. So I tip rolled and tried all sorts of tips, and I settled on the CTM tip, and I see the link for these tips. And overall, they fit a whole lot better. They're more firm and a little stiffer than the soft ear tip, and they're about the same size, maybe a little bit more. They just fit my ears just slightly better, and it improved the comfort and the fit, and also helped with the isolation of outside noises. And I can wear them for about a half hour to 40 minutes before they really start to yell and scream and say, take me out. So not the most comfortable IEM for me. And maybe your experience will be different. Maybe the stock tips will work for you. But overall, I just found that the CTM tips work the best for me. So all sound impressions will be done using the CTM tip. Also, one thing of note, the stock tips also altered sonics. The silicone tips were very, very much prone to sibilance and hotness, more so than other tips, including the CTM. And then the foam tips did something very unique in that it really accentuated the sub bass. Yes, it tamed down the mids and treble, but it added in this thumpiness and this overall just big impact of the sub bass that it sounded like I had a subwoofer directly in my ears, and that caused fatigue. So I was either or of the stock tips, I was getting fatigue in many different ways. The planar driver of the Stellaris is actually one of the easier planar IEMs to drive, being 36 ohms of impedance and 117 decibels of sensitivity, but I still recommend running it on a desktop setup. It does run okay on balanced dongles, something like a Hifi FC4 or another balanced dongle that has a good amount of output power. But at the same time, you will get a better experience and an overall improvement in sonics if you use a decent desktop setup. Before we get into the sonic impressions of the Stellaris, I would like to thank my YouTube members and Patreon supporters for all that they provide to the channel through financial support. Thank you very much for your daily and monthly donations and your overall willingness to give back to the channel and to take a little bit out of your personal life needs. I know that this time and day of in the world is tough financially, so I do greatly appreciate the support. If you are interested in becoming a supporter of the channel, either through YouTube memberships or Patreon, please check out the links down below. Again, I do greatly appreciate all that you provide to the channel by supporting it financially. All right, so the Moondrop Stellaris. Sonically, this is a very, very interesting IEM. So the bass of the Stellaris is sub-bass more focused, whereas the mid bass and upper bass is just a little bit kind of there. The sub bass does extend well, and you get a little bit of grumble and a little bit of rumble in the sub bass. But overall, it's more like the bass is just kind of going through the motions. It lacks impact. It's got a softer presentation. You get good details and good resolution. Tone and timbre is all right. But overall, it just kind of feels like I'm here to kind of keep the music together and do my thing and go home. It doesn't really feel like it's engaging and really driving home the music and impacting it. It's more just like ho-hum, meh, I'm here to do my job, and then I'm going to go home. The mids. So the main bass and upper bass is thin, and the main part of the mids and lower mids is thin. They just lack note weight, density, and just overall fullness. It just doesn't sound proper. It's just kind of meh. And tone and timbre is okay. I wish I had that more note weight and fullness to it. Detail retrieval and resolution is good. It just kind of sounds like it's kind of going through the motions in the lower part of the mids. It just doesn't really feel like there's anything there, and they are somewhat recessed along with being thin. They're just kind of like, I'm here and doing my thing, not really engaging with music. You get to about 1K, and then all of a sudden it's just elevation galore, and the mids transition into this I am in control, I am bold, and I am brash, and I am not ashamed to be in charge. Move out of the way. I am here, and I am going to deliver it my way no matter what. And that's a problem because they're so aggressive and so dominant that everything is forced upon you, and it's just big and bold and just blah, here you are. You want your details, you want your resolution, you want your vocalist, and you want your instrument, and you want it all right now. Here you go. Here is your fire hose 6 inches away from your head. It is all in your face. And it's a very intimate sound. And so it's just very bold, brash, just here you go. And it's so elevated that it throws off the timbre. And instruments will sound a little metallic, and they just don't sound proper. Take instruments that can really go through the ranges, pianos, guitars, strings, brass instruments, woodwinds, and they will sound very uneven, very thin on the bottom end, and then you get in the upper octaves, and they really become shouty and assertive, brash, bold, and you're just so unbalanced and so uncohesive, and it's just very annoying. Treble. So you get that big, huge presence region where everything's in your face, and the lower treble stays that way. And yeah, the upper treble stays that way too. In fact, upper treble extends even more and elevates even more. And so you get this big, huge amount of glare, shimmer, energy, sparkle, and it's just too much. Everything just sounds glassy, and it's just way, way too much elevation. And it's just, I like treble. I am a treble head, but it has to be controlled and it has to be accurate. And the Stellaris does not do that whatsoever. It is such a elevated mess of just way too much information, and it's just not enjoyable whatsoever. So you go from one extreme to the other, very humble, subtle, kind of meh type of a bass and lower mids to I'm here and I'm going to just give it all to you, and I'm going to give it to you right now, and I'm going to give it to you fast paced. And if you're going to get the info no matter what, whether or not you like it, and it's going to be good, and you're going to enjoy it. And no, I don't enjoy it. And stop shouting at me. Stop standing right here. It's like when somebody doesn't understand personal space, and they're very high energetic, and they just talk loud, and they're just very aggressive, and you're just like, back off. And it's almost like, okay, couple problems. You're in my personal space. 2, you're talking super loud, and you have bad breath. So just, like, back off, give me a little space here, but you can't get away from them. And then they're just uncomfortable fit, and it's just not. Soundstage. Soundstage is very intimate, very close. It's not claustrophobic. It's just intimate. It's just like, okay, I have no space. It's just like right here. I like to cuddle, but can I get a little bit of wiggle room, please? And it's just a very intimate sound. It has good depth, it has good layering, and the imaging in it is really, really nice. It's just like right here. It's like you're a little too cozy, a little too intimate. I like to be able to move just a little bit. You're suffocating me. And that's the way that the soundstage is on the Stellaris. It needs a little bit more space, a little bit more width to let things kind of move. Imaging is excellent though, and it's very precise. You can literally go, it is right there. 3rd row, 5th seat, right center, or this and that. It's a very, very good imaging, and very good with depth and layering, not so good with width. Detail retrieval and resolution. Holy cow, you like details? Oh, you will get it. The Stellaris is fantastic when it comes to detail retrieval. It will pull out things that you never thought you would ever hear in your music, and it resolves it very, very well. This is what they do the best: detail retrieval and resolution. Tone and timbre, as I mentioned, it is a little bit thin. Lacks note weight, lacks authority, and just overall naturalism, especially in the lower mids and in the bass. And then in the upper mids and in the treble, it's too elevated, and it kind of throws off, and it becomes a little bit metallic. It's not the worst sound, but it is not the most natural and accurate tone and timbre. Overall, yeah, no. Stellaris, sorry. What can you get for about the same price tag as far as a planar? Well, for currently, right now, you can get the TINHIFI P1 Max for $100. And yeah, get them over the Stellaris. Balanced, very cohesive, and neutral, has the best tone and timbre of a planar, has very good detail retrieval and resolution, has a accurate soundstage with width, depth, and layering, and has a nice note weight to things, and it just sounds proper, sounds natural and accurate. If you're looking for a little bit more forward of a sound and just a little bit more sparkle and energy than the P1 Max, look at the Shure S12. The Shure S12 has a little bit more mid-forward presentation, does excellent job with detail retrieval and resolution, soundstage, depth, and layering, and overall is just a more accurate and true sound signature than the Stellaris. And also, both the P1 Max and the S12 are way more comfortable and not nearly as heavy as the Stellaris. So the Moondrop Stellaris, I was looking forward to these. I was very curious to see what they would bring to the world of planar IEMs, and I'm very disappointed in these. Super heavy, very weird design, uncomfortable, and an even weirder sound signature. Now, who knows? You might like these, and if you do, cool. But they are not for me. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. And then don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video. And also check out the links down below. There's all kinds of information regarding gear used and gear recommended, and music used and music recommendations, and all kinds of other things are down below. And don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.